we are back. It is Chris and Cassie with SONday Chronicles. This is episode 24, part of our 7 days of Christmas that we're going to be doing starting yesterday. So this is day 2, and our topic is a life without bitterness. So we're going to be talking once again about bitter and sweet, which we talked about a few episodes ago, and talking a big part about leaving someone's anger with them. So we're going to have a lot of cool things to talk about, and we'll just see where it goes, like always.
Yeah.
So here we go. A life without bitterness.
What are some of my favorite movies and TV shows?
She-Ra.
Yeah.
He-Man.
Right.
Tropic Thunder. Land of the Lost. Nacho Libre. The Interview.
All right. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
So, on any given night, do I watch the same thing over and over again?
Over and over.
Star Trek, Netflix, yeah.
But Futurama. He's seen
Nacho Libre.
I already said that.
Yeah.
Why? Where are you going with this?
You answered because we're on live television very politely. I was trying to create bitterness, but you beat me.
Well, I looked very exasperated when I was like, and he watches the same thing over.
Yeah.
But,
so.
Okay.
Anyways, that backfired.
Because I'm the master. No, so what we're talking about is, are you trying to get into leaving anger? If you receive anger, leaving that anger.
So
with
the
that
gist,
person.
I think is it the jest or
the gist?
The gist of this talk can be summed up quickly. Leaving others with their bitterness, hatred, envy, jealousy, all of the things the words that are associated with a bitter person, right? By leaving and not accepting it, you can't control. Okay, let me start over. You can't control another human being, although people try. What you can control is
your reaction to what this person says.
Right. And a bitter person, an angry person, all of the words that I just said, how they view you is something internally that they're battling. And we've talked about that before.
But say that again. I think that's so important. So the way that you feel about someone is a reflection of you?
Yes.
Can you say that?
How you feel about me is a reflection of you, not me. If you see me as
part of the divine.
Yeah, if you see the divine in me, you can see the divine in yourself. And
the same as opposite. If you don't see that in others, you don't.
If you're judging someone else, there's something within you that you've got to see the oneness of.
So that's a big part of a life without bitterness. What you just said, but there's more to it.
Yeah.
So keep that.
For example, if a person was angry at you and they were trying to provoke something,
egging things on.
Yeah. And this is good. This goes along with the alpha male, female, alpha person yesterday. The big, trying to prove something.
It's being superior to.
They're harboring the most fear, and they're also very bitter. So I didn't realize these two were that close, but all of these are that. Everything that we talk about goes hand in hand in hand. Bitter. So where you have control is not accepting that not
not accepting someone else's anger is what
Yeah.
you're getting at.
Yeah.
So what that means is first being aware that you can't control someone else's feelings, nor should you want to.
Sure.
They're their feelings, as well as it's a reflection of how that person's really feeling. So their anger towards you is something within them.
and recognizing
Not
that
you.
and have compassion for them. I think, there's this misconception of you need friends, family, that whole thing. People are so different, and that is an unwritten rule of that. Regardless of what the situation is, don't suffer and continue to accept someone's
negative
bitterness.
energy, their bitterness or negative energy
Yeah.
that they emit from
Regardless of who they are, is what I'm trying to say. So by not accepting that bitterness,
Yeah, just because they're family or friends, you're not obligated ever
Sure.
to do anything, but you're not obligated to accept that. I think that's really important.
Yeah. I didn't realize so many things were going to come out of this.
We're just going.
So it for you frees you of that. I think I wrote something, or we talked about it before, the crab effect of if you put a bunch of crabs in a barrel, they're all going to try to climb up, but they're going to keep pulling the ones back. Negative people, that's one of the number one things. They want everyone else down with them, so they're going to pull you down. Once you cut that, frees you. And
that's a huge step in not accepting their anger, their bitterness, their negativity. Is by freeing yourselves out of them, you're not obligated to continue a relationship.
Yeah. And what it does for them is it leaves them with their own torment. And that...
Because think about it, right? I mean, if someone...
If they can't give it to you...
If someone is trying to be superior and they're bitter and they're kind of that alpha role, let's say, for example, not getting their way or not causing a reaction...
Yeah, what do you mean you're not going to be angry back at me?
Yeah, I'm here for a fight.
Yeah.
It seems pretty simple, but it really is not only big for the individual, but
works
the person who's angry.
Every single time.
It's a two-way... It helps each other.
Yeah. Because that starts to... That anger will start to spiral and right inside of them. And being, the alpha male or female is a very weak individual. They're very fragile. And
very much their thoughts. There's
they're not
a lot going on.
Yeah, they're trying to mask that with this tough persona, but they're very fragile beings, and having to deal with their own torment will break them. And it's hitting your head against the wall over and over and over again until you actually realize that you are the wall.
And I think I actually brought this up in another talk we had, but being aware that you do not have to accept someone's bitterness or anger and leaving it back with them with a simple... You don't have to yell at anyone or give into that. It's a simple thank you, or a simple, I hear you. I hear you, but...
Yeah, forgiveness. Tell somebody like that you forgive them, and it will fucking...
Freak them out.
A robot starting to... the wires get crossed, but
it's that feeling. It does liberate you. You feel this freedom that, wow, I don't have to carry that burden of anger around with me when I didn't want it in the first place.
Yeah.
And so it's
a two
you're
works.
helping both. You're
helping yourself, and
having compassion by helping the other person too.
You could just say fuck off.
But that would be just as angry, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's being bitter.
You're allowed to say fuck off.
Well,
I've said
course.
fuck off so many times. and then, once that, let go of that fuck off, feels good to say it. And then do what we leave them with their own healing.
Yeah, you're never, I think I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. You are not obligated. We as people are not obligated to anyone else. Meaning, we're not obligated to just because they're a family member or a friend or someone we've known for 20 years. You're not obligated to stay because of their negative energy.
Don't ever be afraid to evolve past someone. And once you start this process, it's going to happen.
Well, the letting go process, it happens no matter what, I think, and that's okay. It's a huge part. Everything happens as it should. It's a huge
You're
part.
letting go to rise.
Yeah.
And we rise by lifting others. A lot of people have this misconception, especially in today's world, of that selfish me. And I think that what's lost is, what about everybody else? And I think that if you practice that in life and you recognize others, whether you're helping them by letting them go or I thought about this the other day. Paths are changed with a mere conversation.
Mm-hmm. One word changes things.
They're talking about the power of words. I always say that, I love the pen is mightier than the sword. It's so powerful. Words are so powerful. And a conversation or something like this that we do, so many people have done it for me. I realized the other day, everybody's seen the sun quotes, and that was part of my process. Is something that those quotes are what I had recognized and understood to get through what I wanted to get, or what I was facing to get through. And then they got into quote form, and they'll turn into a book and whatever. But these videos, so many people from Plato to, Christ to Buddha, to have their knowledge written down, and thousands of years later, it helped me in 2017. So that's kind of, I just had that understanding of a simple 5-word quote.
Yeah, it's all the greats. I mean, stuff that they wrote down that helped them in a certain time. It helps us now.
That's why they say the truth will never die, because it's
it's passed on somehow. It's always there.
And it's always, once you make the here, like for example, if someone in Estonia make the head-to-heart travel, they're going to have the same line that I have. So regardless of where we live in the world, it's the same line. That's why from the Prophet Muhammad to Russell Brand in the UK, to Jim Carrey in LA, to me here, to everyone made that go to the heart, and that's where the truth comes. Can you read that?
No.
But bitterness. It's hard for me to grasp bitterness. You wonder when it starts, and it goes back to the indoctrination that we always talk about, being taught to start that you lose your essence these days at 4 and 5 years old, But when you
sense other people's bitterness, so step 1 is being aware not only of yourself, but of others too, and energy and these feelings. And you don't have to be around that. I mean, that's leaving that with them.
I think if you wanted to take a real esoteric approach to bitterness, it would be, I forget who said it, but Alan Watts, I think, if you have an ocean and you take a drop out of that ocean and set it somewhere else, that drop is going to instantly go, I want to go back to the ocean. And that's like the thing you said the other day, before we get here, we are the divine, we get here, and then we make that trip back.
Yeah, we're always seeking.
I think that bitterness, a lot of my bitterness was in my seeking,
Yeah, well, because while you're seeking, you're hitting your head against the wall until you finally have that breakthrough of realizing it's you that's holding yourself back.
Yeah. And then there's external bitterness. There's repercussions of seeking outwardly. Those repercussions that come along with that causes bitterness, and then but it is preventable, and that's the good thing. It's just go inward. And then once you go inward, you're able. I was watching Tropic Thunder last night, for the 500th time. And
500th time in the week.
Robert Downey Jr. says something in that film that just blew my mind. He said, he's talking to Ben Stiller, and he goes, I find observation a tad rudimentary. He goes, what I find fascinating is dissecting the pain of said character that you're going to be acting, dissecting that pain and actually letting that pain flow through you to act. He says that in Tropic Thunder. And I do that. And, I dissect myself. I dissect, other people and what pain they're going through. You can do it through anyone. You can say, okay, I'm going to dissect that pain. Where is it coming from? It's obviously coming from
something
within them. Yeah. And then once you are able to live that, like I talked about suicide yesterday, suicide needs to be discussed. It doesn't need, I would like to, that's a big deal these days. And with things going forward, it's going to get rough. It should be talked about, and it should not be, you shouldn't be ashamed for talking about it. I think it's, once you're able to understand things, you lose that fear. And I think that if people were able to talk about it, it would lessen. That's just my opinion. So we'll touch base on it every other, but dissecting the pain. And he was talking about acting.
But it relates to life.
That was a beautiful line. Whoever wrote that, if he freestyled that, then I love Robert Downey Jr. anyways. But that was a very fine observation. And we always talk about observation, but the step forward in observation can be dissecting the pain in yourself, which makes you face it, like we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, the sooner you face it, the sooner it goes
dissecting
away.
a pain in someone else and letting that pain flow through and understanding why they are the way they are, which helps with compassion.
I think that last part is so important. It's allowing to process what just that anger and that is a huge part of it.
Yeah. Understanding why people are bitter will take your fight away. There's no reason.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to put it. I think that I love that.
And therefore, you live a life without being bitter.
Yeah.
So.
And again, by putting it back on the person who's causing or projecting this bitterness and anger.
Yeah.
You're helping them work through it.
Yeah, you're
because you're causing them to face it and keep with them and realizing it's only from them that this is happening.
Yeah. And then one day they'll snap out of it and be like, well, goddamn, he or she helped me by cutting me off and maybe making me deal with the stuff that I was trying to give them. And
because you'll notice that people will do anything. We talk about this all the time. People will do anything most absurd to not look at themselves. Uh-huh. And I think absurdity is yelling at people for no reasons, belittling people, judging, all these things. So it's all because
people judge you because they don't understand you.
They don't understand because they don't understand
If people
themselves.
don't understand you, then you're on the right path.
Because the majority of people don't understand themselves, I think.
People want people to understand them. I think that is a lack of individuality. If you have that group mentality and like I talk about on the oblongs, the Debbies, if everyone's a Debbie, then there's really, it's kind of, it works for some people, so go, do your thing. But bitterness. I enjoy not being bitter.
Yeah. It's liberating. Yeah. It's freeing.
It's not why we were created to come here to be bitter. We were given everything we need. And it should be just, it should be the flip. And here in the next couple of days, it's going to be an exciting week. Just in general, I feel. There's a
new moon.
Yeah, this new moon, these energies are fucking insane today. Very soft and strong. the new moon is going to create some newness this week. I think there's going to be a lot more exciting things than Christmas between now and the new year.
Yeah. But overall, I think we covered everything because
Yeah.
really leaving other people's emotions, their negative emotions with them, is beneficial for everybody
Yeah.
involved. It helps everyone work on themselves and
You
keeps
have to-
you free. You have to
Yeah.
face your feelings as well. And it's just the way life is meant to be lived. It's not meant to be lived bitter. It's meant to be lived sweet and free of these negative. You need the negative to learn, and that's part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
This thing Earth is living its purpose. It's doing what it needs to do. What's happening is happening to help everyone else evolve and
And
grow.
if you step back and observe it and dissect
beautiful.
dissect what's actually happening, man, it's
dissect that pain and
it's
everything.
fucking perfect, is what it is.
And it's understanding
It is.
that things are happening as they should. They have to happen this way. It's one of those. It is
We
always
say
going to
this
be a
every
mystery.
episode: let go or be dragged. Those that are holding on to it, watch. It's going to be like a
And holding on to others' anger
Yeah.
and conversations that didn't need to
check
go
yourself
certain
and
ways.
see how many of others,
Baggage,
whatever their baggage
yeah,
that they're
you
giving
pile.
you in your daily, how much of that belongs to someone else, and start letting that go. Boom, 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 boom. Then you get lighter and lighter. You evolve. Then
And-
you start looking in yourself. You go, you become addicted to that, letting go.
Yeah, and I think what's important with that is sometimes there's things that, in my experience, I remember, well, how can I let this go? It's something that really bothered me, maybe an argument or whatever, for example, an argument or something. And that anger, that anger that you received and maybe gave and whatever it may be, not being able to let that go. I think that's kind of where meditation can come in and
Yeah.
just focusing on the moment now.
On not always being right.
Yeah. It's a little jab there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big step for me, I think, to work
Because
on that.
there is no right or wrong.
Yeah, and it's that need to be superior.
I'm always
and
right.
I'm always right, which is bullshit. But
I'm always right.
so, anyways, but I wasn't finished with my thought there, but
I'm just throwing
me off on purpose.
Yeah, yes.
But
It makes you strong.
yeah, being able to let go of that anger or that thought that bothered you that day or whatever situation, I think that's where meditation comes in and looking in the moment now, being grateful for now. Because anytime you can't let something go, that anger won't go away from someone else. You have to start thinking in the moment, because if you're thinking about the past, it's depressing. If you're thinking about the future, when am I going to get in another angry argument? You're anxious.
Your anxiety.
So
Coming
the best
back
thing
to
you can
now.
do is come back to now and start focusing on quieting your mind or doing something creative, some sort of outlet, so you're not thinking about that anger, because it can feel overwhelming.
It'll kill you.
I know that was a big thing for me in life, just not being able to let things go. It was always clouding my head, but meditating and looking within and understanding and studying, it definitely helps get rid of
Just know
those
one
emotions
day,
from others
yeah.
bounce off you like nothing.
One day it can be clear. Then you live in the land of is, and that you're constantly in the land of is.
Yeah.
And even when shit is happening, you're kind of like, you're Neo. You're literally stopping bullets. Because
you take what you can from it, or you're aware of
Yeah.
it, but then you let it go. It's those.
you understand your lesson by boom, boom, boom.
You're not
boom.
attached to
Yeah.
it. You learn. You understand your lesson, but you're not attached to that happening.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that was a good talk. Hopefully,
We'll see you tomorrow.
yeah, we'll be back. So if you're not sick of us yet, because we're never leaving.
Bye.
Bye.
Good talk.
You didn't turn it off. Bye.